Can't keep up. It's been a long time, almost 4 years, and I'm so confused and frustrated. I don't even know where to begin. Maybe I'll just start from the beginning. It all started with a group of people I met online and at school. We were all interested in art, and we'd spend hours chatting, drawing, and just hanging out. We shared a lot. Our favorite books, our favorite bands, our weird thoughts and dreams. I felt like I'd finally found people who understood me. We were different from each other, sure, but we shared a common love for art and for, well, being ourselves. We spent so much time together online and at school, doing art projects, sharing memes, arguing about what our favorite anime was. It was like finding my tribe. I was genuinely happy. For the first time in my life, I had friends that I felt truly connected with, people who accepted me as I was, weirdness and all. But things changed, and now I hate them, hate the whole group. It's not just about them anymore. It's about what they believe and the way they are making me feel. It's like I'm constantly fighting them, trying to find a way to say the right things, do the right things, but nothing seems to be good enough. It all started because of this strange debate, this war of words and labels that just doesn't make any sense to me. It's about gender, how people define themselves, what it means to be a woman or a man. They'll tell you that you can be whatever you feel inside. That's fine, I get it. You are what you feel you are, right? But how do I reconcile that with the world around me? What does that mean for me? What does that mean for the way we think about other people? What does it mean for the world that we live in, that they're changing? They're telling us that a man can feel like a woman, and that they're actually a woman, and that they're valid, that they are who they say they are. I want to believe it, I really do, but how does that make sense? They're saying that a man can become a woman, but then they're also telling me that trans women are women, so how are they not still a man, or a man turned woman? It's complicated, and I can't stop thinking about it. It's one of the things that makes my head spin. It's about how people define themselves, and then, it's about what we call them. They say that words are important, that words can be weapons, and they're making a lot of noise about words. Words they insist I'm supposed to be using. It feels like there are constantly new rules to learn, new labels to accept, and if you mess up, even accidentally, even without realizing, you're in trouble. It's like you're suddenly the villain of the story, even if you meant well. These are the kinds of debates that make my head spin. It's so confusing, especially the way that everyone talks about these topics. It's all about who gets to define the right way to think, who gets to say what words you can and can't use, who gets to decide what is okay. They're making new rules about the words I can use, and it makes me feel like I can't even talk anymore without offending someone. For a while, I thought that the best solution was to just ignore these debates. I didn't want to be part of the online fights. It was easy enough for me to just accept that everyone is a person, everyone has feelings and wants to be respected and treated fairly, just like anyone else. That's how I thought of everyone. Why wouldn't I? I felt guilty that my friends in this group seemed to be so worried, so hurt. They were passionate, they felt deeply about these things, and they made a lot of noise. But it felt like their problems, not mine. I never wanted to be unkind to anyone. Why would I? My parents always told me to be kind, to respect others, to treat them the way you want to be treated, right? I know that it's important to be accepting and tolerant, so I always tried to understand where they were coming from. I tried to keep an open mind and treat them the same way that I'd want them to treat me, because why not, right? I figured that I was just ignorant about how to be more progressive, so I'd listen to their conversations and try to learn from them. But it's like the more I try to be more inclusive, the more lost I get. I feel like I can't escape the conversation. Every day, I see the same fights on my social media feeds, the same arguments, the same accusations and judgments. And even online, even in the world of art, I can't escape. The artists I admire seem to be constantly being called out for not being inclusive enough. You're not allowed to make a female character without people asking, is she cis? Or, what is her gender identity? Do I need to make it explicit in every character I create? It's like every art piece has to have a little gender identity warning for it to be acceptable. I'm starting to get really frustrated. I don't get this new way of thinking. I mean, I don't hate them, the people I met online and at school, but it feels like the group they belong to, this whole community that's so obsessed with labels and gender, has made a real mess. It feels like I'm stuck in this world that's changing in ways that make no sense to me. I want to be accepting and open, but I can't do that if the things I believe are considered wrong. How can I be tolerant when I can't express myself? How can I be inclusive if the right way to do things feels so wrong? I want to talk about this, to express myself, to have an honest conversation, to share what's on my mind. I'm tired of hiding my opinions and my thoughts. I'm tired of living in a constant state of fear about saying the wrong thing, saying something that someone will take the wrong way. And that's the biggest problem, really. There's always the wrong way to say it. I'm tired of being called a bigot, a hater, a TERF, for just trying to understand and express my feelings about it. Why do they feel so compelled to point out every mistake, every nuance? They'll call a word a slur that I had never heard used that way before. How am I supposed to understand what these people are thinking? It's like you have to constantly be a mind reader, constantly apologizing for not getting it, even though it wasn't malicious or intentional, and it wasn't said to hurt anyone. I try, really I do. But they make it so hard. It feels like they're not trying to have a conversation, not trying to understand me, but rather, they're trying to tear me down. I feel judged, criticized, condemned for thinking what I think, even when I try to be respectful. How do I know what the right thing to do is? How do I know which words to use, if everyone is constantly shifting the rules, constantly defining what's acceptable and what's not? Sometimes, I feel like I can't even breathe without accidentally breaking some new rule, and then they jump all over you, shouting and accusing you. I know it shouldn't be about that, but what can I do? How do I express myself without feeling like everyone is looking at me, waiting to pounce, to say, you said the wrong thing? It's so much easier to just shut up, to not talk at all, to not even try. It's like I'm in prison, locked in my own mind, trying to find a way to escape. The worst part is, I think I've lost myself, lost the confidence to even be myself. I'm afraid to speak up because the consequences are so high. And it's all for this thing, this woke, new world, that's so radical that it leaves me feeling so lost. I feel like the bad guy, for trying to make sense of it all. Why does everyone else seem to get it, seem to accept this new world so easily? And I'm still confused, still struggling to find a way to live in this ever-changing landscape of language and meaning? I want to be progressive, I really do, but my way of thinking doesn't feel right to these people, and I don't understand. I feel like the old way, the way I learned, the way I lived, is wrong. I hate it. I'm starting to hate myself for feeling this way, for not getting it, for not fitting in, for not accepting these radical new rules about how we're supposed to see the world. I wish I could go back to a simpler time. It makes me so angry, but mostly, I'm just sad. I feel like I'm not worthy of the things they're trying to fight for, not worthy of a place in this new world where everyone gets to be accepted, to be valued, to be seen for who they are. It makes me afraid, afraid of the future, afraid to be myself, afraid to speak out because there's always the possibility of being called out, judged, and ostracized. I don't want to live like that, constantly worried about what I say and do, constantly afraid that I'll make some new mistake that they'll call me out for, that they'll condemn me for. So, I'm trying to find a way to be quiet, to speak less, to avoid these topics, to try to exist in a smaller world where my words and thoughts won't get me in trouble. But it feels like they're everywhere, on the internet, in my school, and in my head. I can't escape it. I'm not sure what to do.